It was a couple weeks ago, I was invited to speak at a conference in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And some of you might remember Peter Herbeck. He's come here to St. Benedict a few times to speak. He and his wife Debbie were some of the main organizers. And the night before the conference, they invited the core team over for dinner. So I was feeling pretty humbled to be in the Herbeck's residence, as it was. But it turns out that in Michigan, things are not that different from here in Nova Scotia in that all the parties start in the kitchen. And so we're milling about and chatting in the kitchen, and then out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of the other speakers, Heather Kim. Now, she didn't have ashes on her forehead at this time, but if you don't know who she is, she's a bit of a Catholic celebrity. She's one of the co-hosts of the Abiding Together podcast, which I think it began in 2017, and in the first 2 years, it had over 2 million downloads, which is pretty impressive, the reach. And so I was a bit starstruck, but I was trying to play it cool. You know, I wanted to run over there and say hello, but I just kind of casually moseyed on over to her corner of the kitchen. And I guess when I got there, I must have been staring for a few seconds because she reached out her hand to say hello. And I shook it vigorously, and I still, my jaw must have been hanging open because Debbie Herbeck then came over and intervened. She said something to the effect of, it seems as though this priest has lost the ability to speak, and so Heather, let me introduce you to Father Simon Lobo. And so, I just, in a moment of panic, I just blurted out, I'm a super fangirl. So anyways, it was so awkward, but she was very kind, very gracious, and surprisingly normal, unlike yours truly. And we got chatting a bit, and eventually she has this new book out called Abide, and she even autographed the book for me. So it was pretty awesome to meet Heather. Fascinating, right? I've read her bio, I've listened to her podcast, but something different about meeting her personally. And when it comes to celebrities, whether they're Catholic celebrities or otherwise, it's almost like they operate at another level, that they're higher above us, that they're inaccessible to us. And maybe if you're really lucky, you'll get to cross paths briefly with a celebrity, somebody you really look up to. It makes me think of that famous icebreaker question. If you could have lunch with anyone, who would it be? Just think for a moment. If you could have lunch with anyone of all history, living or from the past, who would it be? Maybe somebody like Gandhi, or Mother Teresa, or Martin Luther King, or Deacon Ronan Sheehan. These famous people that have had a huge impact, contribution to the world. I wish you could have seen this guy on St. Paddy's Day. He even had green socks on, Very, very impressive, representing. When we think about these people who are famous, these celebrities, it's like, we might want to follow them on Twitter or friend them on Facebook, but obviously they're so famous. There's thousands, if not millions, of people who are in their orbit that they couldn't possibly be in relationship with each one. At best, we could be fans, maybe groupies, but from a distance. If you could have lunch with anyone, who would it be? Now, this question has come up even in some social gatherings among some really super churchy people. You know the type, right? They show up at church on Sunday and they watch church online or whatever. Anyways, if you could have lunch with anybody, somebody inevitably says, well, I would like to have lunch with Jesus, which of course is the correct answer. It's like, how do you top that one, right? But I think innate in that response is almost like, well, God is a bit of a celebrity. God is sort of this person who obviously is operating at a higher level, but but who's kind of inaccessible. We couldn't possibly be close to them. Maybe there's a select few that have a backstage pass, that they have VIP access, but for most of us, God is kind of distant. And he's got so many people to deal with, so many issues, he couldn't possibly know me and be aware of my personal situation. Well, as it turns out, that's not how God reveals himself, as some kind of distant celebrity. And we read about it in this first reading from Exodus chapter 3, Moses and the burning bush. I'll give you a quick recap. So Moses, he flees from Egypt. There's a death warrant out for him. He meets this family in Midian. He marries one of the daughters, and he reinvents himself as a shepherd. And so one day, he's out with the flock, and he takes them up a mountain. I'm not sure why. Maybe they needed exercise or something. Anyways, he's up this mountain, and suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he sees this bush that is ablaze. And he goes over to investigate. It's this manifestation of God, God revealing himself to Moses. And one thing right from the top that I find so fascinating is that God calls him by name. Moses. Moses. He doesn't just say, hey, shepherd, like in some generic way. Moses would have been like, who, me? Like there's anybody else. No, he calls him by name, Moses. It's personal. And then God goes on to introduce himself. I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. At one point in my conversation with Heather Kim, I said to her, I've actually gotten to know your husband, Jake, a little bit. This connection. In other words, I know your family. There's some history there already. It's personal. Now, Moses' response, kind of like coming face to face, starstruck, this celebrity, what does he do? He hides his face. He's afraid to look at God. Now, part of the reason for this is in the ancient Hebrew mindset, to look upon the face of God meant you would die. And so he hides his face. I think he recognizes the gap between how great God is and how little Moses is. Last week, Deacon Ronan was preaching about this. Our unworthiness. We feel that we're not worthy before God. And yet, God, who is far greater than any celebrity, he crosses the chasm to approach Moses, and he even goes further. He says, I have observed the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cry. I know their suffering. See, God is not unaware. He's up to date on current events. I think of this horrible war in Ukraine. You better believe God knows what's going on. He is aware of the misery of his people. I don't know how exactly he is intervening, but I do know that he knows. And we've got to keep crying out to God for peace. Now, to Moses, God makes this promise of deliverance, that the people will be set free. And even more than that, they're going to be taken to the promised land. There's all kinds of promises here. And I think the point is that God is not just bringing them out of slavery, but he's bringing them into relationship with him. And if I could say it this way, God's promise is a personal relationship. God's promise is so personal. Now, maybe this language is familiar to you. Maybe not. Maybe you've heard of people who have this personal relationship with God. Maybe you're curious. But in Moses' time, this was not a thing. This was not familiar. And God is saying to Moses, I want you to be part of my rescue mission for my people. And Moses is like, you want me to do what now? You want me? I was a prince of Egypt. now there's a death warrant out for me. You want me to go back there and speak to the Israelite people and say, yeah, so I was having this personal conversation with God, and they're going to be looking at me sideways, and I'll say, no, let me explain. So there was this bush, and it was on fire, but actually it was really God. And yeah, as if, Moses, as if you were talking to him personally. And Moses would have been able to say, he told me his name. He told me his name. I am who I am. It was that personal. And this name, it's profound, it's mysterious. This name that suggests that God is. God exists, that God is present everywhere to every single person at every moment. He has no limits. He's not just a past tense God, not just the God of the ancestors, but he wants to be personal. He wants to be present to each one of us right now. Now, at the end of the weekend in Ann Arbor, I said to Heather, I said, I just wish we had more time. And we, of course, we're going our separate ways. But you know who has time? Jesus. Jesus has time. He has no limits, and he's got so much time. Unlike, a busy celebrity or whatever, Jesus is the great I am, and he is present. He wants to be present to each one of us. He wants to draw close. And I know I've talked about this before, what I'm calling the DPT, the daily prayer time. This is a space in which we can draw close to God. That every single one of us, it's not meant to be a burden, but it's not optional. This is something anybody who wants to be a follower of Jesus, to be spending time every single day with God in prayer. That kind of conversation as if you were to go out for lunch with somebody famous. And I wonder if this experience of a DPT, this daily prayer time, if it could be as intimate a conversation as Moses experienced when he was talking to God at the burning bush. And maybe some of you are like, well, yeah, like I've tried it and it was kind of so-so. Like my prayer, I didn't really get much out of it, to be honest with you. Well, I think, and this is true for myself, that very often we need to be guided into this personal relationship. We need help to gain access to God personally. And that's why I'm so pumped about our parish mission. It's starting tonight. In fact, it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. each night. We're going to have Mary and Eleanor joining us to be our guides, to personally lead us deeper into this relationship with God. They're going to help us to experience the promises of God that are meant to be personal. And in fact, one of their talks is going to be all about the names of God. I don't think it's a coincidence, but today, here we have God revealing his name, I am who I am. And there's several names throughout the Bible where God is revealing himself so we can know him personally. So what I want to do is just play a short video, 2-minute video. We can dim the lights. This is Mary and Eleanor. They're going to introduce themselves and give us a quick overview.
Hello, St. Benedict's Parish. My name is Eleanor Seagraves.
And my name is Mary Maher, calling in from the Windy City.
Yes, we're actually here at the Shrine of Maximilian Kolbe, which is a beautiful shrine here in the northern suburbs of Chicago where we live. And we wanted to just say hello and give you a little teaser about what we're going to be speaking about Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night at the Parish Mission.
So on night one, we're going to kick it off with a theme we really felt God put on our hearts. The overall title of the mission is God Is. And so the first night, we're going to just open up his word, which is living and contains every answer, every blessing we need. And we want to look at a couple of the biblical names of God that he himself has revealed to us as a way of sharing his heart with us and telling us, I know you, I love you, I know your needs, and I am everything you need. his names contain who he is and who he wants to be for us.
And on the second night, we're going to be unpacking this reality that if God is who he says he is, then who am I in relationship to him?
And then on night 3, we're going to tag team and look at one more biblical name for God, Jehovah Rophi. God is healer. And we believe that that will be a really special way to wrap up the Lent mission, just with an experience of his healing presence. He knows right where you're at. He knows exactly what you need. He desires to heal you in body and mind and spirit. It's been a challenging season, and so we just really invite you to join us with an open heart, with the firm belief that we have, that we want to share with you, that God makes all things new. There is something beautiful that he wants to give you this Lent. We are so honored to share in this experience with you.
And we can't wait to see you guys Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night. In the meantime, we'll be praying for you. God bless you, and hope to see you there.
Take care. God bless you all.
They're so beautiful. We've had a few chances to meet with them in preparation for this mission, and they're just very, very impressive. So I'm excited for this Sunday. So starting tonight, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 7 p.m., you can join us in person or online. And if you're joining online, you actually have to register to get the Zoom link. So it's not just going to be like normal. We want to be able to interact a little bit, so be sure to register to get the Zoom link. I had this image a couple days ago in prayer, in my own DPT, my own daily prayer time, where I had this image of a spelunker. You know what I'm talking about? You know, those brave people, they explore, they descend down into deep caverns. And it was like God was descending down into the depths of my heart and shining a light on different things. And it's just this beautiful image. And I just wonder if, as I said, so often we need guides to help us. If Mary and Eleanor are going to be like guides, spelunkers, as we descend over these next few days, a little bit deeper into the promises of God, that we were made to be in personal relationship with him.